Okay, let's dive right into this short 7-minute explainer to build a truly wholesome first principles understanding of the invisible wiring behind human behavior. Have you ever stopped to wonder what actually drives the things we do every single day? Well, together, we're going to break down the mechanics of the nervous system to truly understand the roots of our actions. Seriously, why do we do what we do? At first glance, our actions can look like a completely random collection of choices. You speak up, you freeze, maybe you reach for your phone, or you avoid a certain person. Honestly, it looks chaotic. But if we shift our perspective today, we can uncover the systemic logic driving every single one of those seemingly spontaneous decisions. So the absolutely crucial point is this: behavior is the nervous system's output. Think of it kind of like the hidden electrical wiring in a massive, busy building in Karachi. You don't actually see the circuits inside the walls, right? But when a switch is pressed, the lights change, or a backup system kicks in. You can't see that wiring, but the resulting behavior proves the system is constantly detecting, evaluating, and acting right behind the scenes.
Section 1. Signals and Circuits. Let's look at output processing.
The absolute simplest way to view behavior is through a core 3-step sequence. Step 1, signals enter. Step 2, circuits process. And Step 3, behavior comes out. It really is that foundational. The brain doesn't just spontaneously issue commands. Instead, sensory inputs from the outside world and your internal body are constantly being combined and filtered until one action finally wins out. Now, what's really fascinating here is the core definition. A signal is just a detectable change in the environment or your body, which is fundamentally different from a meaning. A signal is literally just a raw change, like a loud noise. But your nervous system acts like a bustling newsroom. It gathers reports from everywhere and compares inputs to decide if that loud noise means a terrifying fire alarm or just your morning ringtone. And this brings us to a really common myth. We typically view the brain as a single decider, issuing clean, top-down orders. But a much better analogy is picturing the brain as a crowded kitchen with competing cooks negotiating an outcome. One cook says, "Serve now." Another says, "Wait." The brain isn't a single boss. It's a collection of competing systems playing tug-of-war until the balance shifts enough to produce a final behavior. Section 2, the power of body state and our internal influence. The same external event can produce totally different behavior depending on your internal state. This is a complete game changer. A hungry, tired, or stressed body completely shifts the meaning of a signal. That's exactly why a friend's totally neutral facial expression might seem harmless when you're well-rested, but suddenly looks threatening when you're tense. Your state dictates the meaning. It's exactly like an app running on a phone with a full battery versus the exact same app running on a phone with a nearly empty battery. Just like your phone behaves differently to save power, your nervous system's output changes based on energy, stress, and fatigue levels. It often prioritizes speed and efficiency over optimal logical reasoning because, well, it just needs to keep you going. Section 3. Inside the neuron, meet the microscopic bouncers. The key to organized flexibility is that not every signal becomes action. Only the signals that matter enough actually get amplified. Neurons are excitable cells that don't just passively pass messages along like a simple piece of wire. Instead, they act as active, threshold-based filters, literal microscopic bouncers that decide which signals are strong enough to push forward and which ones to just ignore. A neuron receives countless influences all at once. Inputs that encourage activity, inputs that suppress it, repeated inputs that build pathways, and brief ones that just fade away. Think of a neuron like a water tank with multiple pipes pouring water in and drains letting water out. It only overflows and fires a signal forward if the total inflow beats the outflow for long enough. It all boils down to this. The body does not act on every signal. It acts on the signals that survive processing. This chemical and electrical modulation guarantees that our bodies only react to the input that survives this rigorous microscopic filtering process. And that is what ensures organized flexibility rather than total, utter chaos. Finally, Section 4, seeing people. A true paradigm shift. As we scale back up from single neurons to massive muscle networks, the whole process scales with it. Down at the neuron level, the system asks, pass this on. At the circuit level, a pattern wins. Zoom out to the network level, a response forms. And finally, at the muscles, action happens. We see so clearly here that behavior is never a single sudden event. It's a complex, carefully assembled structure built layer by layer. And because of this deep scaling process, behavior actually starts long, long before you ever notice it. A sudden reaction in everyday life, like yelling in traffic or freezing under pressure, actually began negotiating internally across multiple circuits way before the action became visible to the outside world. The outward action, that's just the very end of the story. Understanding this neurologic empowers us to completely change our perspective. We can stop just asking, what did they do, and start asking deep, context-driven questions. Was the person's body calm, stressed, or tired? Was this response an ingrained habit? Did a memory make their system expect danger? Which internal circuit had the stronger pull? We basically move from judging behavior to truly understanding the underlying biology. So, I want to leave you with this final, powerful question to think about. In your daily life, are you judging a reaction or understanding a system? When we truly recognize that everyone is just a living system doing their absolute best with the signals and the bodily state they have in that specific moment, it builds a profound empathy. It leaves us to wonder in our very next interaction, are we just going to judge what's on the surface? Or are we going to seek to understand the fascinating system underneath?